So we clearly have a problem with some of the people that have been airlifted into the United States. And I want to clarify a couple of things because we airlifted people. You did. With your support, we did it at Mercury One. And I want to make sure you understand what happened there and where our people that we airlifted, where they are. But first, let me say this. What we're experiencing now here is a story that almost no one in Washington wants to say out loud. And it begins with the people, but it begins with the people that are responsible for failure. And that's our leadership here in America. A failure of honesty, a failure of courage the whole time. When Cabal fell back in 2021, we rushed in to do what Americans always do, and that's help people out. We run to save. We ran to keep our word. And God bless every soldier and airman and Marine and volunteer who risked everything to rescue the men and women who stood with us for 20 long years. But here's the part that nobody prints. We didn't just evacuate our allies. We did. But the United States government evacuated anyone they could grab. In the chaos, because chaos is the oldest enemy of truth, we opened up floodgates. Tens of thousands of people we didn't know. Nobody really vetted. Nobody could verify. Nobody could fully account for. Even today, we don't know where they are. And that's not xenophobia. That's not fear-mongering. That's the Department of Homeland Security's own Inspector General saying that. Quote, we don't know who many of these people are, end quote. This is something that while we were doing it, we said, our vetting is much better than the United States of America. They're bringing in people. We don't know who they are. Now, think of the weight of the sentence came from the Inspector General. We don't know who many of these individuals are. Think about the histories of nations who forgot the simple duty of understanding who they bring inside the gates. When that happens, the country is over. Rome did it. The Byzantine Empire did it. Europe did it before the migrant crisis. And now in 2021, we did it as well. And we knew this. We've been talking about it on this program forever. Now, inside of our temporary bases, Fort McCoy, Fort Bliss, Quantico, even our own FBI and military police documented things that the media just dusted off. Don't worry about it. We showed you at the time sexual assaults that were happening in these temporary bases. Sexual assaults, domestic abuse, attempted strangulation. U.S. servicewomen harassed and followed into showers. Did we do anything about it? These weren't rumors. These were not internet stories. They were actual federal charges. Did anybody say anything about them? Meanwhile, police departments, Virginia, California, Texas, places with the largest Afghani arrivals, began reporting the same exact pattern. Domestic violence, forced marriage concerns, child protection cases, cultural classes. And our law enforcement had to deal with them. And did anybody in the media say anything about it? Nope. Why? You were bigoted if you said anything about it. Here's what happened. Our government took a lot of people from a tribal system, patriarchal, war-torn, no skills. Imagine going from Afghanistan to Chicago. How do you survive in that? How do you survive in that? Now, that's not the fault of the families. That's the fault of our federal government. A government that just threw them and us into a social experiment overnight without even thinking about it, talking about it, just saying, accept it. Some of the people that are paroled into the United States had ties to the Taliban, ISIS-K, or another, or several other terrorist organizations. That's not speculation. That has been confirmed by our own DOD, DHS, and congressional testimony. We've known this for a very long time. You know, when the Pentagon warns you that that person probably shouldn't be in the United States. I don't know. Maybe we should listen to them. And maybe we should be concerned about a DHS or a State Department that waves them in anyway. That's not compassion. That's dereliction of duty. Period. Period. Now, add to this the humanitarian parole system meant for rare, urgent cases. It was a revolving door. Where are all these refugees from? I'm not talking about the Afghanis. I'm talking about all the other people that have gone to Europe, that have gone to the United States, that are swamping countries in the West. Where are they coming from? Really? There's that big of it? This is a bigger refugee problem than we had in World War II. How's that possible? We can't confirm anybody has identity. Doesn't seem that we care. Asylum, family reunification requests exploded. Some valid. Some of them unprovable. Some of them just out and out lies that we knew were lies. So what happened? Our cities become strained. Our cities go into disorder. They start stealing from us. Look at Minneapolis. Here's the biggest strain. The biggest strain on us is the truth, is honesty. It takes courage to say what actually happened. But, we're not living in a time of courage. We're living in a time when people saying the truth, you acknowledge reality and you get labeled. You notice patterns. Oh, my gosh, you're silenced. You ask responsible questions. You're accused of bigotry. Truth doesn't care about the labels. It just sits there. It just waits for somebody to show up and go, that's the truth. I'm going to have to say it. So let's say it. Here's the truth. America owes a sacred debt to anybody we promised. Anybody who is fighting with them, we should protect them. We should honor them. We should welcome them. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened. We didn't perform a moral rescue as a government. We performed a political evacuation. And I was there, so I know it. Somebody posted a kind of a snarky tweet at me because I spoke at our gala here a couple of weeks ago, and I talked about what the State Department was doing. And I said, it's time America really understands how evil the State Department was during that evacuation. Our people were vetted, and we didn't bring people into the United States. We brought people to the UAE. A lot of our people went to Australia. A lot of people, and I said, sat on the tarmac forever, because the State Department was shutting down and saying, we can't verify any of these people. We could verify who these people were. We knew who these people were. Most of the people that we brought out, we could show you their baptismal certificate because that was part of our vetting. Are you a Christian? Really? When were you baptized? Who baptized you? What church did you belong to? Because we knew you were under the gun. Now, if you were like, I was just baptized 3 weeks ago, you didn't get onto one of our planes unless the State Department insisted that you get onto one of our planes. Because that's what I was saying in that video that this person just reposted. I was saying in the video, do you know the compromises that they forced us to take? You want to save these Christians? You have to save these people. You got to put these people on first. We don't know who those people are. I don't know who those people are. And those were the ones that came to America. We gambled with the future of these Afghani families because we just threw them in. Just throw them in. They're going to be fine. We threw them into a system not based on reality of any sort. We threw them in without vetting them. Meanwhile, we would not take the Christians. I want you to know, we should not be attacking anybody, except honestly condemning our government, because it refuses to tell the truth on what it did and what it failed to do. The mark of a nation that is in decline isn't who it lets in. A mark of a nation in decline is whether it can confess, it can admit to its own mistakes, talk about the truth and the consequences. And today, Congress is whispering. The media is hiding. I mean, did you read any of the stories? Hopefully you didn't. Hopefully you just had a great time on vacation and for the holiday. But I did. My team did. Did you read the stuff from the New York Times? They still can't admit the truth. They don't even know what the truth is. I'm still here waiting for the courage of any adult to stand up. A great nation can welcome the stranger, but a dying nation loses the wisdom to ask, who is this stranger? And that gate we passed long ago. The question is, do you want to be a dying nation or not? I don't. We can't afford to be a dying nation. The world can't afford us to die. So, what do we do about it? Well, the first step is defending your home. And the first step in defending your home is knowing who's inside your home. And I'm going to show you how we can do that quite easily. First things first. You got to draw a line in the sand. And here's the word that it shuts every conversation down. It's a word wielded, like a club. And it's not to illuminate anything. It's to silence. And here's the word: Islamophobia. You say anything about the rising violence in Europe, the honor killings, the grooming gangs, the refugees who are not refugees at all, but sleeper cells, and suddenly you're a bigot. But this isn't about bigotry. This is the first line we have to cross. This is about civilization. So let's draw the line between faith and ideology, because Islam is a religion practiced by 1 billion people, contains families that I met, I know, doctors I trust, soldiers who fight beside Americans, millions of peaceful, devout people who just want what you and I want, to raise their children in peace. But Islamicism, an Islamist is not a Muslim. This is something entirely different. Islamism is not a religion. It is a totalitarian system that wraps itself inside of the language, the way Marx wrapped tyranny with equality, okay? Hitler wrapped conquest with national destiny. Islamism is communism with a crescent moon. Islamism is fascism in a mosque, and it has absolutely zero intent of coexisting with the West. It comes not to blend in, but to rule. And if you doubt me, ask the women in Iran. If you doubt me, ask the socialists that helped the Islamic Revolution in the 1970s. Ask me what happened to them, because all of them lost their heads. Ask the Christians of Nigeria. Ask the families in Paris and Berlin and London who are now living under police patrols because their leaders were too afraid to speak plainly. We love to open our arms. That's fine. America always does that. But you must, when you open your arms, keep your eyes open as well. A refugee seeking freedom is a blessing. A refugee seeking a caliphate is a Trojan horse. And we have every moral right, every moral duty to know the difference. It's not about hating anybody. I don't hate anybody. I hate those who want to destroy us, want to kill my family, want to enslave me under some sort of a religion. Yeah, I do hate those people. But this is about loving civilization that gave the world dignity of the individual, the rights of women. Yeah, it was us, not a caliphate. The protection of minorities, not a caliphate, us. The freedom to speak and worship or not worship. If defending those values makes me or you controversial, then, wow, controversy is a very small price to pay, don't you think? I mean, because the alternative is, I don't know, what's happening in Europe. The alternative is silence. And silence in history is always the first sign of collapse. So the first thing we have to do is choose speech, choose truth, choose civilization, and know the difference between a Muslim and an Islamist. One is political. One is religion. One hijacks the religion for political purposes. I don't know why it's so hard to understand this. Haven't you seen that happen in our own religions, in our own faith, in our own country? Of course we have. We've seen this in history over and over and over and over again. I mean, how many times have people said, "Oh, Nazism, that's Christian"? No, it's not. No, it's not. He hijacked Christianity. He hated Christianity, but he used it. Absolutely, he did. Now, why can we see that, but we can't see it over here? Why is it we can't understand that? Why is it when they're throwing gay people off roofs of buildings, we fail to recognize, oh, you know what? They may not be friendly. They may not be so open-minded. When they would kill transgendered individuals on the streets, Hamas would come out and kill them in the streets. And you refuse to see it, well, you're just a moron. You're just a moron. Choose speech, choose truth, choose civilization.